So, what is it about Scott's script that drew you into the project?
Well, it was more Scott. I mean, as soon as Scott called me and asked me if I could ride a horse, I was like, I'm in. I don't care what it is. I'll do it. And then, of course, I got home and read the script, and it was a good script. And things change when you're making a movie. And Scott is the type of filmmaker that he's a great collaborator, and he's got a real positive energy, and he's a pleasure to work for. And his kind of enthusiasm for film is contagious, and it kind of spreads around the set. So you end up with a good product or a great product.
Last question. Western is few and far in between these days. What is it about this Western that can be relevant to today's society?
I think the being relevant today. I think there's a cultural divide. I think there's unfortunately a lot of racism. I think the fabric of our nation is divided, unfortunately, and it's not to say that hasn't been the case for a while, but I think that with all the news coverage and 24-hour news and everything like that, I think that it's coming to light, and I think there are elements of this film that would highlight some of those struggles.
Blast from the past. I'm feeling nostalgic right now. In living color, man. That's awesome.
Thank you, thank you, thank
So,
you.
what is it now that you're here supporting Byron's film?
I've always supported Byron. From the time I hit the comedy clubs in LA, back when I was a kid. He was sitting on the stairs at the Comedy Store with a painter's hat on, and he looked at me and I was like, "You're the guy from Solid Gold. You're the guy from Solid Gold." And he said, "I'm going to watch your show." And after I came off stage, he said, "You know what? You're going to be great. You're going to be big." And he wasn't right, but, I'm still trying, But, any project that he has that's Tommy friendly, he always calls, and him and his mom have been friends for years, and I've watched him grow as a producer into an entrepreneur, and now, super producer, which is just good to see. And the good thing about it is that he's the same he was in that painter's hat that night, and that's really good to see.
Now, I've talked to Russell Simmons. He's always on the lookout for new potential talent in the comedy world. Are you producing any of the up and coming rising talents yourself?
You know what? Not at this point. Right now I'm doing a television show called Vacation Creation.
Yes.
And I take deserving families around the world on cruise ships. But that gig is we're about a week out to that, and then it's back to the grind, doing all my projects. I love working with young people. I just came from Cuba, seen a lot of young talent there, and just traveling the world. So the future's bright. Just got a book deal, appropriately named Tommy Davidson, Living in Color.
Yes.
And so it's time for me to do my narrative, and time for me to do what I do best, which is touch people.
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
So, what were some of your conversation with Scott regarding the editing work to get the final result done right?
Well, Scott, I love working with Scott Cooper. I was an assistant editor on his first film, Crazy Heart. And we always talked about, how wonderful it was to get the band back together for us to start working together again. And the first thing he told me was that he wanted this film to be a psychological portrait first. He wanted it to be very psychological rather than just a Western. He certainly takes place during the West, but he didn't want it to be cliched. He was wary of using too many Western tropes. So that was something he warned me about. But the other thing he said was follow the performances. We have Christian Bale. We have Rosamund Pike. We have an amazing cast. Wes Studi. He said follow the performances. Hold back. Let them shine, and let them create these characters that feel real and don't feel like movie characters. And then the other thing he said was let the landscape dictate how you cut. Don't be afraid to hold on a shot and live in it so that we can really feel the environment. So those were some of the things that he told me at the beginning of the process, and he's amazing to work with. I love working with him.
Here's a fun question. As an editor, do you have editors out there that you look up to or admire? Maybe Martin Scorsese's go-to, Thelma, or anybody that you look up to?
I'm a total editor buff. So, yeah, the list goes on and on. Thelma Schoonmaker, I grew up loving her work for sure. Michael Kahn, Steven Spielberg's editor. Those two people are living legends for sure. So many other people. Working today, I feel fortunate enough to say that I'm friends with these people. I know these people, but Joe Walker, who cuts movies for Denis Villeneuve, I think is a brilliant editor. Billy Goldenberg, who recently cut Detroit and also cut Argo, Zero Dark 30. He's brilliant. And Chris Rouse, who is Paul Greengrass's editor, I'm a big fan of. So I can go on, but those are some of the people I think are the best of the craft.
Last question. What's your advice to young aspiring editors trying to make it in this business?
I would say to young aspiring editors and filmmakers to never give up. Just, remember what you love about film and don't forget that and try to follow that. Don't be concerned about get rich quick schemes or easy schemes, because at the end of the day, if you're doing what you love, then you'll be fine. You're on the right track, and I'd just say never give up. Always believe in yourself, because that's where it's got to start. You got to believe in yourself before other people will believe in you.
Hello there.
Hey Scott, how you doing?
Very well, thanks.
Big fan of Crazy Heart, Out of the Furnace.
Oh, thanks, man. Thank you. I hope you like this one.
Thank you. So, what is it about the great Christian Bale that you want to reteam with him again?
Oh, well, I mean, look, for my $10, I think Christian's probably the best actor that we have. He's my closest pal, my closest conspirator. I write for him. I just think he embodies characters so deeply and in ways that some actors can't. And for me, he represents everything I think that's wonderful about being an actor. And I used to be an actor, so I know that what Christian does is extremely, extremely difficult. He's very skilled.
What are the themes that this movie is bringing out regards to the relationship with the Native Americans and
Reconciliation, healing, inclusion, all the sort of things that we as Americans are in desperate need of at the moment.